and so that's why we're covering the employment law aspect, because I think that's the bit that underpins everything that you do and why you do it. I mean, obviously the people aspect is why you do it, but ultimately it's usually because legislation says so. So we've got quite a bit to get through, and there might be some things that you don't quite understand. I've tried to explain everything in as much detail as I can, but if there's anything I'm saying that you're not sure of, either write it down and ask me kind of halfway through or whatever, or ask me there and then, because I'm just presuming that I guess you'll understand, but you may well not, so that's fine. So, just going to... Okay, that's fine. So, you've managed to bring your company handbooks. You're probably going to need to flick between those throughout the session, because there's going to be a few things I'm going to ask you just to kind of read up on, and then a couple of things that you might be able to get online and have a research for yourself, definitions and things like that I think are quite important for you to grasp and understand for yourselves, as opposed to having it explained to you. So hopefully that might keep you engaged and make you feel as though you're starting to understand it in a bit more detail. So, there we go. So, agenda for today. We are going to be looking at ultimately reasons for leaving an organisation, but I did touch on that at the end of the last session, so hopefully we're coinciding quite nicely with what was covered last time. But ultimately, those absolutely give us a straight connection to reasons for dismissal and other aspects for leaving an organisation as well, so which will allow us to go into the employment law side of it and procedure side of it that we are all bound by. Then I'm going to touch on types of law. Now that's not a means of me sort of going down what is law in general. It's to just explain where employment law fits within the categories of types of law, and then why when it goes to tribunal, why it goes down a certain route as opposed to the other routes of the other laws. So we are going to be looking at some of the key acts in employment legislation, such as the Equality Act and the Employment Rights Act, and I'll cover a bit of history with those as well, and then we'll look at some case studies. I think what will be really common throughout this session will be that case studies are the fundamental thing that shape legislation and shape employment law. So legislation generally evolves because of case studies and because of current issues that are out there being brought to tribunal and being discussed in the court of law. So they are ultimately what changes legislation and allows legislation to become updated and amended over time. So case law is probably your baby in terms of learning, really. So, can you think of some reasons why, I did list them on the previous page, however I'm conscious of that. Can you think of some reasons why an employee might leave an organisation? But yes, you've covered off the main ones. There are a few others, but these are the key ones that you will, throughout your career, will probably find that will feature. So settlement agreements, compromise agreements, they do mean the same thing, but again, I'll cover that in a little while. So, as I say, those reasons for leaving are a fundamental aspect of employment law, and in understanding how things can go wrong and why we have to do things properly and correctly, even if an employee is leaving the organisation by a positive means, so such as they're retiring or they are moving on to another job. There's certain things that you should do as an employer to end that relationship on a positive note. And if you fail to do things correctly, then you can find yourself in a bit of difficulty.